Well, welcome to another episode Out of the Blank podcast. I'm with the so talked about Esther.
Hi.
Esther, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Because I feel like Raquel kind of told me a little bit about you.
Oh yeah, Rachel. Yeah, her name looks like Raquel though. I don't know. I'm the other half of Cards with E and R. I am the E. We live in Savannah, Georgia. You know, usual stuff.
Well, what's the best board game?
We actually play card games is what we're playing. Right now we haven't gotten into board game, but since we have video, we might actually put that as like a premium content. We might start like a D&D game.
Are you an advanced card player? Because I think the most simple ones, I would say like Crazy Eights was like a very, very popular one when I was a kid. I actually played a game that lasted 7 hours. I swear to you. It was just everybody kept, right when someone would get a last card, somebody would throw something down. Next, people were drawing, and it went on for hours, where at the end, my dad just let me win, and he was like, I got to smoke a cigarette, and then just went outside. I was like, oh.
That's when the game is too intense. You gotta smoke a cigarette. Well, most of our cards are like, recently we just played One Gotta Go. So it's like on the cards, it has 3 or 4 options, and you have to say which one has to go and keep up the rest of the 3. So that was really fun. So it's more.
How do you
it's
choose,
not like,
though? I'm like, that's a good game if you're trying to teach kids what it's like to lose something. Like if you ever had a goldfish or something, that was kind of a way to teach your kid that things die. But
right.
Giving up something, I'm like, people don't want to give up anything. Like, I like to cherish the things I have.
Well, it's like, I'm like drawing a blank. I can't even think of one of the cards, but there's like always, for me, a clear-cut answer. There's like something you can always live without, or something that you don't like as much as others, that you like the least, that you can cut out.
Turn that into real life. If you had one thing in your life you feel like you could cut out, what would it be?
That's such a broad question. If I could cut out anything, like, in what topic though?
I feel like showers aren't really needing to be that much of a thing with the factor of we got to wear masks everywhere. I'm like, I don't think we need that. It seems like a waste of water.
Well, yeah, but the shower is for your whole body. The mask is just for your face.
Yeah, but you can't smell me if, you got that thing over your face, so it works.
Oh, you can.
Oh.
You can. I can.
That's
helpful. As working in healthcare.
Can you smell me through the Zoom call?
No, look. But through the mask, you can especially smell if somebody didn't brush their teeth, because it's just like that strong odor comes through, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
It really honestly lets you know if you missed on brushing your teeth, because for me, I can't do mint toothpaste. I know that sounds like crazy, but I'm the guy that gets the bubble fruit toothpaste at the dollar store where they're like, this is for children. I'm like, yeah, I picked the one especially with ponies on it for a reason. I feel like it needs to, mint for me is just, sometimes it's too strong, where I'm like, this is like I'm eating a peppermint patty. I don't find this fun. I want something that's going to make my mouth tingle. And I like a little toothbrush that sings a song to me too. I got a Kiss toothbrush that sings Rock and Roll All Night when I brush my teeth.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, hey, do what you got to do to brush your teeth.
What made you decide to do a podcast on card games? I mean, that's really, really rare, just because it's is there a lot of interesting stuff that happens with cards?
First we started out with Cards Against Humanity. And actually, what we first started, we were choosing a card out of the deck and then telling our own personal story with the card. Like choosing a card like something about assholes and talking about assholes and stuff like that, like people being assholes and
Yeah.
things like that. Like we would do that a lot. What that was our beginning of the podcast, and then we finally like just morphed it into more of party games because we actually had a lot of game nights before Corona. And so we have a lot of card games that we've played, and just with this podcast, we found out more games and things like that. So it's actually really interesting. But we love game night and we love party games. It's just like you can't always just sit there and drink with people. Like
Yeah.
you need something else to do. So
There's got to be something that's like, it's okay because we're playing charades. There's got to be
exactly.
that whole thing in there. Charades is honestly probably my least favorite. I just feel like, I don't know, acting in front of like a small group, it's like hard because everyone's like, huh, gay. You're like, stop, man. Like, I'm trying to act out this scenario. But like
Right.
card games, for instance, like Crazy Eights, though, like that's a great way of like connecting with people. It's really a kind of
Hmm.
intimate when you think about it. I mean, you're sitting there having fun, but it's not like there's another thing doing it for you. Like if you play a video game, there's so many other things that keep your
Oh yeah.
attention. But this is
Hmm.
like going out to a restaurant. It's like you have to be really kind of in the moment with the person. You get to learn things about people. I mean, I did a
Hmm.
dare where I lost a Monopoly game because it had the credit card. I'm like, that's too
Hmm.
much. That's
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are crazy looking.
they give you billions of dollars instead of ones and fives, and it's all on a card. So you're like, charge
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Next thing you know, you're in debt. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot like real life. But
Exactly. It's like I don't want to play a game that's too real like that.
well, like I'm so pro like creativity when you start looking at all these games like Cards Against Humanity I'd never played, but like even
Hmm.
Rachel was saying like she wanted to take pocket jerky and put that on a card in one of the games. I was like,
I heard.
does that give you free room for creativity? I'm like, that's the best part
Mhm.
because then you usually know the person you're playing with. So you're like, I know for a fact they're gonna do a bottle of wine that glows in the dark or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. I like that a lot of the cards come with, or a lot of the games come with like blank cards, so you can always make your own. So that's a good thing about card games. You can always be creative for all the people that like to create their own little thing. There's always about 4 blank cards that you can always make up your own.
Do you win a lot of these games?
Do I win? Not really, honestly. I'm just there to play and drink. But I don't really go for winning. But Rachel is all about winning. She tries. She cheats.
Just hides cards up the sleeve?
No, like she does little things. Like she knows what the score is all at all times. She's never scorekeeper. And then she'll try to say, "Is it my turn?" And she knows it's not her turn. She just wants another turn quickly to win. It's like little things. It's like little subtle things. It's
I
really cute though. It's fun.
it's funny because when I was a kid, like you would notice people that would play like real serious card games and then like just fun card games. Like I play Yu-Gi-Oh, I play all those little battle ones.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I'm playing like, like Crazy Eights is like the only game I really ever played. But my buddy would be like, "You want to play poker?" I'm like, no, like that was a whole nother tier. And then I ended up working at a casino and I remember all my buddies' little tricks of how to count cards and how to do this and blackjack. And then I go to a casino and
Oh man.
I'm like trying to watch people do it because they think, oh, I'm a pro at home. I'll be a pro at an actual place. And you get to see so many people
Exactly.
just lose it all.
Yeah, I'm not about games like that, like poker and blackjack. That's just too much risk for me. I'm not much of a taker when it comes to my money.
Yeah, see,
I'm kind
that's
of
like
boring with
I
that.
won 69 cents in the first time I ever went to a casino and I kept the little what do you call it? The receipt for it instead of cashing it in and I just used that
Hmm.
and I have that posted on my wall.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot better. That would make a lot of sense. The last time we went to Vegas, I think I just did slots because I don't like the tables or anything, like sitting with people and trying to like,
It's
I
too
feel like
much
that
stuff.
atmosphere is too, yeah, it's like just too much and you just feel more pressured to go higher. and to bet more. So I was like, I'm just gonna do slot machines.
Yeah, I just want something where I can either like pull a lever or I just hit the button and it does it all for me because I'm like,
Exactly.
I feel like I'm not already coming here to win. But I'm not gonna lie, on my first day, I saw 4 or 5 people almost win close to $100,000 in the first
Mm-hmm.
hour on my first shift. I was like, gambling's awesome. And then my coworker that's been there for like 30 years was like, no, it's not. I guarantee you they put more money into the machine than what they got out. I'm like, that guy just
Exactly.
won 50 grand and he is going to McDonald's to go get an egg McMuffin. So I'm pretty sure he's got life figured out. But
I hope so.
you get to see the mindlessness of it. Like so many people in there 1 a.m. just flicking the machine, flicking the machine.
Yeah.
And I look at that and I'm like, it's kind of sad because it is addicting, but it's like it's the same thing what we're doing now where we're just mindlessly on our phones
Scrolling
scrolling
and
through.
clicking. Yeah.
I mean, even you said you mentioned you work in the healthcare industry.
Oh, yeah. I work at a doctor's office.
How much of like really kind of a change has that been since the whole pandemic situation?
Uh, Honestly, for the doctor's office, it hasn't been too much. I mean, everybody has to wear a mask, of course. We're taking a little bit more precautions since we don't do the COVID-19 testing here. If you have a fever, we won't let you in. We automatically send you to go get tested before you come into the office. Or if you call, we can get you sent. So we're trying to like protect us and our patients that come into the office against it. But it's mostly the same because we've always disinfected and cleaned
Yeah.
because there's a doctor's office and wore gloves and masks and things like that. So it's just more of a change for the patients, I believe, more than anything, because they have to wear masks the whole time.
I think if it might kind of jump to a conclusion here, but on the aspect like I love getting into conversations because you get to learn a lot about people and you get to find that real connection. I think it's the same thing with people that want to join into like the medical field or join into a field that helps people out, I would say. Because I mean,
Hmm.
even depending on whatever you do in the medical industry, even if you're at the front desk, you still come across people and you get to deal with a different side of humanity, Cards Against Humanity, but a different side of people that normally you don't see, such as like the pepper community, chili pepper people, these people that eat
Hmm.
extremely hot peppers to where they hurt themselves. I always say that's the best way to do a lie detector test because I don't care who you are, what you have. If you catch me when I'm in that much pain, I will tell you anything you want. I'll give you the keys to my car. I'll do whatever. And a lot of the times you go to a doctor's office, you get to see that kind of scared thing and you get to see that
Hmm.
and you actually get to help out in a scenario like that, which means you have to be a people person.
Definitely, definitely have to. And unfortunately, there's a couple of people that always fall into healthcare, but that find out that they are not people person because you actually have to show that you care. And you really do have to care, especially at a doctor's office. We see these people at least between every 6 months to every 3 months. So you're definitely going to learn their name, about their lives, and things like that. So it definitely helps to be a people person and to be empathetic and sympathetic.
I always say that the world kind of seems like it's replaced empathy with sympathy on the concept of it seems like we're more about like trying to get people to feel sorry for us rather than listening and understanding. Really trying to get
Hmm.
that connection that we all kind of deserve. I mean, I try and make my doctor visits so much fun. I mean, I literally have a woman that has to, because I ripped all my pelvic floor muscles and at the same time I'm suffering with a bit of a spine thing. So she has to have her hands near like my butt. She's hot. And I'm like, hey, cracking jokes like you come here often. What are you using today? And
Right.
she's like, shut up. Stop doing this. You're the weirdest guy I have that does this. And I'm like, I have to. It's gonna be awkward for both of us if I don't get a laughter
Exactly. Yeah, I meet a lot of patients like that, especially the older kind. I love older patients, like 50 and older. They can either go be one or two ways. They're either assholes or like they just crack all the jokes in the world. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's cool to have patients like that. Sometimes it's like, no, this is serious, bro. I can't laugh right now. It's serious.
Look, seriously though, seriously, you have cancer.
Seriously.
You have cancer. It's like, ah, you're messing with me. You're messing with me. No. The jokes
It's like, no.
before, they were serious, but you got this going. I was like, is
Exactly.
that the best way to give bad news to somebody? Like in a singing gram? Like, just like somebody shows up to your doorstep and it's like, you have AIDS. It's like, what? No way.
Oh.
I got a barbershop quartet telling me.
That's like the Family Guy episode. Did you watch that
Yeah,
one?
yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
referencing. Yeah. I feel like that is literally the best way to get bad information. I'm like,
I don't
because
know. Do they do that anymore? Can you pay people to do
you know what?
grams like that? Grams.
I think I mentioned this to Rachel. It might be selfish, but I think the cure to the world is maybe a couple bucks aside every paycheck and just kind of sending yourself flowers. Is that really sad, or is it like a good random thing to get throughout the day? Like, I've read stories of like people that have a loved one that passed, and they the loved one or whatever keeps sending flowers or whatever, like for a year, but just
Mm-hmm.
pay it off, like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
gonna die, do this for them, so they get a little bright whatever. I think that is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. Mine would probably be like some type of food thing though. I hate flowers. I don't hate flowers. I'm just not like like give me food that's more sustainable to me or something. Something I can actually use than flowers.
I think that works well, like if you're in the middle of the desert and you're dying of
Mm.
starvation and someone just comes up like, oh,
Someone just come.
here's your monthly taquito. It's like, thank
Yes.
you. And then like it's like, oh, someone gave you like maybe what, a sunflower. I think those are edible, but I feel like that wouldn't taste that good.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Is the flower edible?
If you had to choose between one gift to get out of anything in the world, what would you choose?
Mm.
Don't say food.
Well, funny thing, like, when I was dating my fiance, he came for my birthday and gave me a tin, and I opened it, and it was like cookies, and I was so fucking excited. But underneath the cookies was a camera, and I was so excited for the cookies. But he was like, "No, your real gift is under your fucking
I'm about to
cookies."
say, I can stand with you if they, depending on the cookie, was it an
Mhm,
oatmeal raisin? Because I have a story of when my
mhm.
buddy's mom made like 8 batches of like, I mean, a total of like 200 something cookies of oatmeal raisins. She put
Ugh.
them in a tin. I
Mhm.
ate all of it in one sitting. And I swear afterwards, I felt like I swallowed dirt. Like my
I
stomach was all like,
that is too much. That's too much cookies. No, it was chocolate chip, but I do like oatmeal. I do like oatmeal raisin.
what would you say your weakness is?
Food wise, if it's like any type of chocolate or like Korean food, I'm half Korean. So
What do
if
you
it's like
consider Korean food though? Because I feel like everyone always
mhm,
says just Chinese food as an umbrella, but I'm like, I feel
mhm,
like it's a little bit different. Like I didn't know Japan wasn't like Japanese food or sushi. That's not from Japan. That's from Taiwan.
mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of mixed culture over there in the South or like in the Asian world, but like Korean food, mine would definitely be it's called gimbap, but it's basically the simplest way to put it is that it's Korean sushi. So it's like it's rolled up in the rice, the seaweed paper with rice and things like that, but it's mostly with like cooked meat. So if
I
anyone like try to bribe me with that, I'm down.
I was about to say because I'm in love with every food that's not American food. I would say
Mhm.
red meats make my stomach turn around and never want to eat anything for the rest of my entire life. I don't know what it is. It hurts my digestive system, burgers, all that. But I love rice. I love fish. I mean, I'll eat
Mhm.
anything out of the sea. If you came at me with a shark's butthole, like, hey, this is
I'm
delicious.
in.
I'm in. I'm all about it. I'll eat that ass.
Just
Like that
grill it
whole
up.
thing. Yeah.
Well, now I know what to send you.
But I always say nothing beats a nice buttered biscuit. I don't know what
Mm.
it is. I went to Popeyes one time with my cousin. I actually turned it into a shirt. I love it so much. My cousin went to Popeyes and he's like, I'll get you something. I was like, I don't eat fast food. I haven't eaten in years. I won't want to. He gets a biscuit. I mean, I could smell it through the bag, through the box. And I'm sitting there like, it's like if you're off on a diet and you want that food, but you're not eating it.
Right.
I'm like, bruh, I'm like, just take that
I need
biscuit,
this biscuit.
break it in half, and then jam it into the roof of my car so I can just smell that
Just
biscuit all
smell.
day. Oh, they put that in an air freshener, I would lose my shit.
Oh man, they totally should. Or you said you don't eat fast food anymore, but Church's Chicken, they have a honey biscuit and that shit is the best thing ever.
They don't have churches down here.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
I'm on the
I
East
didn't know
Coast.
that was yeah. Oh, well we have a Church's.
Where?
You're like northeast, right?
I'm up near Delaware and all that.
Yeah, we're in the south, so we
Yeah,
definitely have Church's.
I think I used to really like Wendy's,
Mm,
but then it burned down.
mhm.
They said it was Greek lightning, which I'm pretty sure is like insurance money. Because
Yeah, I don't know what does that mean.
I just came by one day and it's just on fire. I'm like, what happened?
Wow.
And then we had a Dairy Queen, and then I always praise the good gracious of Domino's Pizza, and they
Mm.
burned down. And I was like, what the why are all my
What is going
favorite
on in your
places,
city?
everybody's letting me down? I'm like, everything I love dies. Like, it really
Damn.
hurts.
Especially when it's like food, like fast food area, because it's just like the quickest thing. So sadness, bro.
But don't you want to enjoy like going inside of a place and eat? I just feel like now it gets complicated because with the mask scenario, you have to focus on not dying. That's why everybody's
Mm,
like, oh, do I have the mask on before I put the thing? Oh, gotta pull it.
right.
I I have a mask issue, I would say, but I only on the aspect of like I feel like we're losing the sense of like communication between people. Like I love seeing somebody's mouth, and sometimes I don't want it. I mean, I don't have the best smile in the world, but like it lets me know like when I say hello to you, you're smiling
Mhm.
at me and not giving me the slight buck you like that whole thing.
Through the mash is holy, like
Yeah.
fuck. Well, that's true. And there is communication barriers, especially for people who are like losing their hearing or are deaf, and that's what they use to communicate is like to see people's mouths move. Um, but I think they're making masks that are like more like trans or like see-through. So those barriers could be more knocked down because that is hard, especially for the older patients. They already can't hear and now they can't see your mouth move. So it's just like, oh my God, I'm just going to leave the room.
What'd you say? I
Yeah.
said, do you want an appointment next month? What?
What?
Next month. Stop yelling at me. It's like, oh, okay.
Exactly. They're like, oh my God. I'm just like, what medications do you take? They're like, what? I'm like, all right, I'm done.
Trying to rattle off medication names and they can't hear. That's got to be the
Hmm.
worst.
Yeah. I just ask them if they've had anything new or anything done to their medications. They're like, no. I'm like, okay.
In the past 6 months, besides a global pandemic, has anything about your
Yeah,
lifestyle changed?
exactly. Exactly. Sometimes it just has to be short and sweet.
Have you ever thought about getting in the realm of tarot cards?
Actually, I have, but Rachel actually has tarot cards, and so does my friend Ashley, and so we might bring that up now that we have video. We could
Yo,
do like the tarot reading.
you gotta have a guest on there and start reading
Mm.
fortunes and then just spouting off nonsense like you're gonna die in 7 days. And they're like,
Uh,
what? Like,
I don't know, like Rachel kind of like I think it's more for Rachel because I'm not sure if I believe in those things, so I don't want to like ruin it. Because actually, like there are a lot of people that I mean, it's kind of like
it's
you
pretty
believe what
serious.
you believe. Yeah, it's serious to some
Yeah.
people, so I wouldn't want to fuck with anything like that. But
I've
Rachel does have cards, so if you do an interview with her, you should tell her to read your cards.
I would love to have a conversation again with Raquel. Hoping to get
Oh
both
yeah.
of you on. Yes, conversation, that key word. That's that's the bingo chest. But honestly, I bought a stack of tarot cards and I've heard people talk about how to use them and stuff, but I just like
Mhm.
the art on them. I don't know who the
Oh
designer
yeah.
is. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh cards to me. Like I want to collect them all. They're like, you have
And
10 death cards. That's not good to have in
mhm.
your house. I'm like, but they have skulls on them and they look
But they're
awesome.
cool. I know, and each deck is like different, and like you can really buy like you can buy angel cards, so there's not that many bad or death cards. And then you could just buy the regular deck that has like death and everything else in it. So there's multiple tarot cards that you can get. Um
Have
and they
you
all have
Well, through doing the podcast, have you had anybody reach
mm,
out to you that's a card game maker?
we've had a couple, so we're gonna start having some card games. Well, you mean like us make one or that have made a card
Like
that
somebody
have
that's
made
made
it?
a game and like I want to send it to you to put on your show.
Oh yes, we're getting a couple of that more now that we're gaining some more of like followers
You're
and
famous.
things like that. No, I wouldn't say no. Definitely not famous,
Look, it
but we
grows
are.
fast. I mean, you're
Mm,
obviously like between you and Rachel, you guys have good chemistry and stuff too. I mean,
thank
that's
you.
what's really needed. If you're having fun, the audience is going to have fun.
Exactly. So definitely
I'm, tr-
definitely interesting hearing our game nights playback.
I'm trying to, because I know Rachel told me to mention something, so I will give
Oh
her a
Lord.
shout out for that. Hang on a second. I'm trying to find it. All right. Okay, tell me about what she calls junior nerd shit, which I know is future problem solvers academic decathlon.
Yes.
That's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful. It's actually two different groups. So it's future problem solvers, and then another group is academic decathlon. And that's two of the nerd shit that me and my fiance was in high school. It's actually where we met. Other than band, we did marching band together. So actually, our teacher that was head of those two clubs recently passed away. So that was a little sad to hear. But
Thank
it
you,
is
Rachel, for telling me to bring that up.
oh, she didn't know. She didn't know. Like he recently passed away. So, but yeah, that club, those two clubs are very cherished because that's where I met my fiance. And actually, those clubs are very nerd shit because like academic decathlon is 10 categories of anything, and you also have to read a book or a play and do like a whole thing on it. It was a lot.
Is it like the movie Billy Madison where they're doing the ending event and it's like pick a category and then they have to say whatever is in that category?
It's kind of like that, and then yeah, and then there's like 10 different things that branch off of that one category that you have to answer. Either like written questions or interviews and things like that. So yeah, it's extensive, and Rachel calls it nerd shit,
I think it's
which it is. Looking back, that's pretty fucking nerd shit.
honestly, I wanted to be on like a debate team for so long, or like a decathlon or something, because I saw Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, and it seemed like the coolest thing in the world. Like I could rock a spelling
Yeah,
bee. Like if
yeah.
you take me at any word, and then I've seen some of them on like TV, and like the person like one spell shovel. Shovel. Congratulations. Then this a little kid comes up next and it's like spell tridecahedron. And the kid's like, what's this bullshit? Like
Right.
I feel like that would be me. This spelling thing is a big one for me. I was always really good at that, but like if you toss
Hmm.
math at me, nope, sorry, that's in one ear out the other.
Yeah. I'm pretty shit at math too, so I go against the Asian grain on that. But I'm only half, so I blame it on my white side. That's why I'm bad at math.
Has like at least kind of like using a bit of that, I would say, like when it comes to like certain categories and stuff, has that maybe kind of pushed you towards like the creative side of creating a card game?
Not yet. I don't know if we're good. Maybe.
You could easily create
Keep
one
that
like
open.
like random rabblings or something, and then you just have like you have a serious question, and then you just get a joke answer that's in the community chest by Rachel, or it's just like, what? Do you want a lifeline? You pull it over, it's like talking about a
Right.
chicken bone. You're like, I don't know what that means. Let me put that back.
Oh yeah, pocket jerky. I don't know, maybe in the works in the future. Not anytime soon though.
I feel like, especially when it comes to the world of like how it's becoming so creative and stuff, especially with people that are like maybe making their own games and these trying to show it to you and see if you'll like
Mhm.
talk about it or play it. I think it's
Mhm.
awesome because for so long it was the same stuff over and over and over again. But like, we're in a creative age. We just
Yeah.
always buy branding stuff. Like, let me buy
Mhm.
the important Monopoly. Let me buy, it's like,
Mhm.
if anybody just sits down, spends 30-20 minutes just playing with a family member, like a good card game, you end up spending and playing for hours. I'm pretty sure some of the best moments, at least, in the past year, have been playing
Mhm.
card games with Rachel. I mean, just those nights you guys are recording and stuff.
Oh, definitely. And Rachel always makes it fun. She says off the wall shit all the time, so it's super hilarious playing with her, and her like trying to catch her cheating is always fun.
The dreaded
Now that
side
we
eye
have
she talks
video.
about.
Oh, is that- well, yeah. Supposedly I'm the queen of side eye, but I don't know.
What really brought on the inspiration to do it, though? Like, what was the very first thing where you just text her, like, hey, let's just start recording?
We actually talked about doing a podcast probably for a year before we actually just sat down and did it. My fiance, who does the production and everything, he actually records music and things like that. So he's always had the equipment for us to do it. It's just that we never sat down to do it. And then finally we came up with cards with ENR off of the Cards Against Humanity because that was the first game. So we finally just sat our asses down at the table and recorded something, and that's really what
There
instead of
was
just talking about it, it was like actual doing.
there was nothing before cards in the DNR.
No. No.
There was nothing before that. Come on, before Out of the Blank, there
Nothing.
was an idea of doing
Mhm.
ASMR eating cereal for 15 minutes. Or with no milk, though, just dry cereal. I
Just
listened
dry
to it.
ass cereal. I
Dude, you,
I actually love dry cereal
yeah, that's what
because
I
I
do.
can't do milk.
Same. I put croutons. I usually like croutons on my salad. People think that's
Hmm.
weird, but you eat
What?
salads every single day. Let me tell you
Mm.
something. One time you get a handful of Honey Nut Cheerios. The next one you get a handful of mini wheats. It's a fucking surprise, and it changes your life.
Exactly. I'd rather do dry cereal instead of with the milk. Or if I do milk, it's like oat milk or some bullshit like that, but it just gets soggy too fast. I like to just snack.
If I had to ask you
Hmm.
a very serious question,
Oh man.
if I could give you
Okay.
$10 billion right now, but somebody in the world would die, would you take it? You don't know this person.
Wasn't there a movie or something like that, or like a TV show that had that like that little thing as a synopsis?
I think it was a demon movie, and you had to
Oh, was it?
you got like a
Oh,
gift, but somebody
mm.
else died.
That's it. That's it. Oh man, yeah. I don't remember the name of it though. Is it called The Gift?
I have no clue, but I thought about it when I was a kid. When I watched that
Mm,
movie, I was like, I could do it. I could do it. If I was going to be a god, I would be more than happy. There you go. Sign it off and let that person die. But then
yeah.
I saw the thing, The Monkey's Paw.
Hmm.
If you've ever seen that play,
I don't think I have.
where they get a cursed monkey paw and you get three
Mm,
wishes from it, but
hmm.
every wish turns sour.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Isn't that how that movie was basically? I don't know. I don't think I would do it because like you don't know that person's life. Like I would just always think about that. Like who was it? If I didn't know, I would probably have to try to find out who it was. And if they were a piece of shit, then like, all right. But like I don't know if I would take that chance.
yeah, I feel like then you end up like, oh, it's a prisoner, and then they were wrongly convicted. And you're like, oh,
Exactly. Boops.
now I got $10 billion of what we call blood money. Now, if I give you the option to make $10 million by searching El Chapo's house, would you do it?
Um, Probably, right? Is he there still? Whatever. I'll search it.
In the walls.
I'll work for my money.
Okay.
As long as I don't have to kill anybody.
If I wrote on a card the exact day you were going to die, would you choose to look at it?
Honestly,
That's a freaking hard question.
that is a hard question because it's like I would kind of want to live like I don't know, so I'd be like free and cool about it. But then if I did know, and if it was like short, I'd probably like just blow a bunch of money just doing whatever I wanted. But then what if you don't die though?
Yeah. Okay. We're playing
What
with
if
the Grim
something,
Reaper, so you're going. It's
yeah,
like
what
Final
if
Destination. It's coming for you. You're dying. Like there's no. You're gonna get
I can't.
sucked into an escalator, or you're gonna choke on sushi. I have no clue what's gonna
Oh
happen.
No, because then I would live my life in fear. Unless it was like the next day, then like whatever. But then you just always be living your life like either like super depressed or you definitely be living differently. Like I wouldn't want it to change or affect how I'm going right now, how I'm progressing. If I knew when I was gonna die, it'd just be like, meh. Like what is it? Like why?
People usually
Why
talk
do it?
about like the bad side of COVID. What would you say is the positive side you took out of it? Because like I think what goes with the whole like when you die you can kind of live and do what other thing is. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
for a lot we're all playing it safe, but really we're barely as people kind of like function. Like the fact that we're alive, we're just giant bags of blood with working cells. Like I got really deep into this where I actually gave myself a panic attack because I was like,
Oh gosh.
we're in I was like, I'm just a person where all my nerves and all my organs are working. What happens if an organ slips out of place or moves or something gets punctured? And the next thing you know, I'm leaking. And then the next day I die. And then it's like goes into this whole scenario. It's like, so why wouldn't we live every single day like it would be our last? And then I think the world's scary because like even as we're recording right now, they're doing construction on my street and shit
Mm.
is just breaking everywhere. I'm like, I'm gonna walk outside and a pipe's gonna hit me in the head. I know it's gonna happen.
Talk about Final Destination, right? It's just like some crazy
That's
shit
why
like
I
that
don't walk on
happens.
escalators anymore. I'm like, nope. I would get sucked up into that thing.
Oh my god, the best story I have about an escalator. It was our prom night, and this girl who had like huge tits wore a strapless dress, and we were
Why were
going
you
down
staring
the
at her tits?
escalator.
Why
I
were you
wasn't
staring?
staring. They were out there, okay? I could look if they're out there. So and
You
she
hold on. You made me think of I saw all right, hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you, but in Vegas they sell cards, and this is linked perfectly with your game.
mm-hmm,
There's strippers on the cards, and they're
right.
for a porn show to see who you're gonna view. And
Mm-hmm.
my grandma took one of the ones I had, and she drew Garfield. And I've never been able to unsee it. I'm like, oh,
That is
great.
so perfect. Do you still have it?
No, she burned them all.
Oh, even better. She was
Like,
like,
you're
fuck
not
it.
supposed to give them to kids, and people on the street are just handing them out to anybody that's kind of going. So I
Yeah.
hurried up and snagged them out of this guy's hand. And my grandmom slapped them out of my hands. But what I did was I was like
uh
14. I stepped on one. So you just see me going across this, like the crosswalk while my foot's
And you're
just
just
sliding
sliding.
across the ground. I ended up getting caught in TSA. They
Mm,
pulled me out of TSA and they start not like stripping me, but checking my bag, like bearing it down, everything, taking everything out.
mm,
And I'm like,
mm,
what's the issue? And they pull out a bag of needles and they're like, what is this? And I'm like, my
mm.
cousin's a diabetic, but I had his bag on me. So there was a long confusion. And he reached into the side panel and I was like, I honestly rather you take me to jail for heroin than what you're about to pull out of that bag. And he literally pulls out these naked photos of these girls on those cards. And my grandma just looked
Mm.
at me and was like, no fucking way.
I'm about I'd whoop your ass on the
You
playbook.
think I wasn't gonna take one? All right, back to your story about the girl with the huge tits riding the escalator.
So, her prom dress was strapless and long as fuck. So we were riding down the escalator, and she didn't gather her dress up. So it gets stuck in the escalator. It pulls her whole dress down, so her tits are exposed, and everybody's just staring like, "Ugh!" And the front desk is like, "What?" Just staring at her tits. I'm like, "Can you please do something?" We were just all on the escalator with her ass and her tits out, and I'm just like, "Please do something." I'm trying to leave and get drunk, and her tits are in my way.
She is her curves are stopping me from getting my curve on with a
Exactly.
alcoholic beverage. I never had a bad escalator moment. I really had a super bad treadmill incident.
Oh
So
no.
when I was little, before it became viral of people putting food on treadmills and shit, I was
Mm-hmm.
doing that with like goldfish or something like you normally would see on like a video. But I just wasn't,
Right.
this was way when I was like 4 years old. And as it was going, my curly hair got stuck at the corner of the old school treadmill and it got sucked into the belt and it ripped me under the treadmill like while it
Oh
was
my
still going. So I'm
gosh.
getting rug burn on my face and it's like
Oh
stopped
my
and it's trying to go
gosh.
at the same time. And then my
Mm.
grandfather like hears me screaming, comes downstairs and like grabs me, like, you know, shuts the treadmill off and everything. Every time
Oh.
I'm like, because I'm a workout freak. So I'll like, if I go and see him, he'll be like, "You're staying away from them treadmills." I'm like, "Go fuck yourself, man. It was a long time ago."
He will never forget. That's like Rachel. Rachel never forgets.
I would figure that there would be like a card game you could play on the road. Like people always talk about like the license plate game, but like just to do
Mm.
a random scenario, like to make the road trip fun, you know, like, oh, here's a, we got to stop at the next Wawa and choose a snack we've never tried before. That sounds like not so like fun or crazy, but it's pretty
Mm.
freaking nuts. Like I don't know if you've ever had pizza combos before, the little pretzel
Mm.
things. They're
Yeah.
my all-time favorite snack. Well, there's another one that's just straight mozzarella cheese, and it tastes
Mm.
like death in itself. So that's an experiment to try.
Right, the pizza is the best one. Or just the regular cheese one. Was it the nacho cheese or something like that? I
Yeah, the
haven't had
nacho cheese
combos
one's
in a
good.
little, yeah, they're
You can literally make a card that says you have to drink 6 laxative tablets and then drive a 3-hour trip to like Baltimore or something
Oh my gosh.
without going to the bathroom.
No, that would be so bad.
That would hit you when you're on the Bay Bridge, where it's like we
Yeah,
have nowhere to go. Like
yeah.
I can lean off the edge of the bridge and act like I'm working on the bridge, but really I'm working on the ocean with dropping bombs.
Just dropping all bombs. Like, I couldn't do that. I have cloth seats, so that would be super disgusting.
Best
That
advice I've
would be
ever
just
gotten was
awful.
keep toilet paper in your car. My grandfather is a genius. You never know.
Mm,
It's like a napkin, you know?
you never know. You
You
never know. Or keep a bunch of napkins that you can use. You never know.
That's the catchphrase of your show now. You never know.
You never know. Boom.
Is there anything you would say that you really don't like about maybe like a past episode or certain scenario playing cards?
Mm, I think it's just like getting a new game and like trying to like figure out the directions and things like that. Sometimes that's a little on the
It
on
should
the
be
podcast.
it should be
So we're gonna
simple.
sep it should be, but sometimes those directions are not as simple or they're too wordy and things like that. It's just like get the straight cut thing. But I think we're gonna start like doing a how-to video separate from the podcast so we don't have to say this is how we're gonna play it and then try to play it. Because sometimes directions get a little too wordy and things like that.
It's like when someone's trying to explain poker to me. They're like, "That's a straight flush." I'm like, "Did I win?" They're like, "No, you lost it all." I'm like, "Seems about right."
It's like, well then, okay.
Like, are you counting cards? Dude, I don't even know where I'm at right now, man. You're tossing out, aces high, all these types of things, straight flush,
Yeah, it's
I'm
like, I
out.
don't know.
Sorry, I don't know all the
Yeah.
lingo. I just want to know, is that a crazy eight? Well, I'm changing the suit to Clover's.
We're gonna have to play Crazy Eights for you on the
I'm
podcast.
telling you, it's the funnest game ever. It's like the only one, like, you can, like, man, I don't even know the bonding experience between that when you place down that last card and they look at you like you were fucking setting me up. It's like I was. And now I am the owner of this house. I am the captain now. That's what happens.
Yes, I'm the captain. I do like games like that. Like, I was thinking about playing Uno one time for the thing, so that'll be interesting. Now that we have video, we can actually like set it down so people can look at the cards, and you could totally ruin a life in Uno.
That really brings me to a very scary movie, Truth or Dare. Have you ever seen that? It's either
I've
Truth or
seen.
Dare or Would You Rather.
I think we saw Would You Rather.
Yo, if there was a card that like it was like had a question on it and you didn't want to answer it and then they made you do something, the dude had to stick a firework in M80 in his hand and blow it off in his hand.
Hmm.
I don't know, because I'm like, what could the card say that would make me reject it to the point where I would be able to do something like that?
Yeah, for real.
Have you ever murdered somebody? Multiple people. I'm
Hell yeah.
not scared on sharing that.
Right, exactly. Like, and I think it was like a group of strangers anyway, so those motherfuckers don't know you. I'd be like, yeah, I killed some people. Who cares?
Yo, I know who you got to get on your show.
Who's that?
OJ.
OJ.
You got to have like a truth or dare. Did you do it? I don't like this card. Answer the question.
I don't know. We'll leave OJ alone. He's I don't know if he's fit for a podcast.
What's the relationship between OJ's glove and Michael Jackson's glove? That's a card against humanity card.
Mm,
I still don't know how
that
that game is
is.
played.
But that could be a card.
Well, Esther, I appreciate you giving me some time on your break and everything too to be able to do
Oh,
the
of
podcast.
course. Thanks for having me. And
Now,
Rachel.
is there anything you want to promote? Rachel, I think in this episode we kind of covered the podcast. Rachel kind of like didn't understand what meant to promote it, but do you want to promote it? It was fun. I love her
Yeah, it
for
was
it. That was a
hilarious.
funny
Yes.
podcast.
Oh yeah. You can follow us on Instagram, Cards with ENR. Follow us on the YouTube, Cards with Esther and Rachel. We do have a Twitter, but I'm kind of like broke on that shit. I don't
It's a
usually
dumpster
tweet.
fire.
I
That's
just
what it is.
can't.
I
I tried, but I
hashtagged it.
can't.
I hashtagged an episode and it was like all the trendy ones. If you just hit the hashtag, it'll give you all the top ones that are trending.
Yeah.
A lot of them had nothing to do with what the podcast was about, and people
Mm.
were lighting me up like, this isn't about coronavirus. This isn't about Trump. I'm like, I don't know what I did to you guys.
Yeah. I know. It's like you came here, though. Did you listen? I don't know. I hate Twitter right
Thanks
now.
for your
I'm pretty
Patreon.
lame.
I need your $5.
Exactly. Give me money. But
They
yeah,
can find you on
so
Instagram, YouTube.
Instagram and the YouTubes.
Isn't that it?
Yeah. Yeah, because we're not really on anything at the moment. But you can find our podcast, Cards with ENR, on most major platforms. So
Any what is it? What is it called? Fans only? OnlyFans?
no, I think my fiance would kill me.
You could do that with cards. Just have it in between two toes and just wiggle it back and forth.
I thought you were gonna say it's between two cheeks. I was like, oh.
That you probably make more off of it, I guess.
maybe we'll have
I
to
was
see.
just trying to narrow down the foot people out there. I feel like there's a lot of them
Mm.
out there, and I'm deathly afraid of feet. Not even like
Yeah, I
my
don't like
own.
feet.
Like even when I sit, I make sure I'm sitting over my foot so it's not on top. Like people that can have it on top of their leg, I look at it like,
Yeah.
why would you want that there?
Well, I'm not that bad, but yeah, I agree. I don't like feet either. So I don't know though. Maybe that's something we can tap into. We'll think about it.
You can tap with your feet.
Tap my feet.
Well, thank you so
Boom.
much for being on this episode Out of the Blanket. Stay tuned for our next episode.